Dr. C.K. Narayanan has been kind enough to write a special book for this grand occasion, the ATMA Conclave, called The Reminiscences of a Technical Analyst Around Dalal Street, which forms the special edition of the ATMA Sphere. Let's have a huge round of for Dr. C.K. Narayanan firstly. Secondly, I'd like to call him on stage.
Conclave was being put together. Sushil phoned me and said, you've been around the block for a while, why don't you kind of chronicle for us the progress of technical analysis through the years and put it in as a kind of a small book, trying to put down various vignettes of your own experience and your own approaches that you have gathered over time. And I felt that that was a very, very good idea of trying to, kind of chronicle the history of technical analysis. That might be a little too pompous for me to say that, but then for lack of any other word, I think we've been speaking about 35 years of Sensex history, and it so happens that I have also spent more than 35 years in the market. So it seemed like a meeting of those minds, and we decided to collaborate on this. And I wrote a small book. It's like a booklet which they were kind enough to publish in the digital format. And we've chosen to call it as the Reminiscences of a Technical Analyst. And I think it's sort of this thing available as a free download for all of you. What it contains is history of technical analysis as seen through my eyes, and how it was when we actually set out into this field of technical analysis sometime around early 1980, and what it was like, back then, how difficult it was to come by various data points, how we managed to actually put these things together, how, over a period of time till the late 80s, when my good friend here, Singh Vivek Patil and his brother, the Singh Abhay Patil, we got together and we actually put together the first of the softwares. And I've actually mentioned about all that in this book, the kind of part that each segment of the market has played. I've talked about something called Atul Xerox, which not many of you will know. But the shop called Atul Xerox, which is right around the corner from Dalal Street, I can't tell you what a significant part it played in our lives. Because Atul Xerox was the only place where we could get the books. And we were so hard up for books in those days that we didn't know we would be, we were just hungry for reading anything on technical analysis. And you're all blessed because you're surrounded by so much of material around in the net. All you need to do is sit at home and just click the button, and you have hundreds of books which you can download. And, I put in things like Atul Xerox, and how we used to queue up outside his shop and get those books Xeroxed. How, sometime around, I think, maybe 1979 or maybe 1981 it was when I actually came to know about something called RSI. 1978 was the path-breaking book by Willis Wilder, where he created and unveiled the RSI for the world. And I do remember there was this old-time technical analyst called Ravi Rao who used to work for a magazine, a newspaper called Prophet. And one fine day we were standing down in this road in Dalal Street in the evening. And I think at that time Ravi was talking about RSI to somebody else. And I overheard him and I said, "What is this?" And of course he quickly sort of clamped down and said, "Nothing, nothing, nothing." And of course when somebody says nothing, nothing, your interest is piqued, then you know that there is something. So I chased him down and hunted him out, and finally he said, there is this new tool, right? And all you got to do is look for the value of 70 and look for the value of 30, and your job is done. You know exactly where to buy and where to sell. And just imagine back in 1982, if somebody told you that you know exactly where to sell at a value of 30, or buy at 30 or sell at 70, that sounded like, that's it. I can now make all the money in the world that I want with this. And then everybody was on to RSI, and then finally we managed to land our hands on a copy of Willis Wilder's book, and we just devoured it. And RSI became the king of the street. And, we all used to strut around. If you knew RSI, we were the kings. Those who didn't know RSI, they were the jerks. It was almost like that. And now you see where things have come, where RSI is just one of those things, and there are these 150 indicators just in Metastock, and then there is 100 more in all the other softwares that you see. So I've put down vignettes like that into this book. I've talked about curb trading, which many of you are not even aware of, and how our lives would be full of curb trading every day. And, you would get down from this, the gate you came through. In the early 80s, there used to be a company called Orkey. It was a big thing. Orkey was the big competitor to Reliance, and even Reliance felt threatened by Orkey, so much so that, the grapevine goes that they actually did them in. But I do remember sometime around early 80s, I think it was about 84, 85, when Orkey came out with the results, and that was such a huge event. On that day, the markets used to run from 12 to 2 in those days, and at about 2:30 when we finished writing down all transaction, etc., and we decided to go down, you couldn't get out of this building. The front area of this Dalal Street entrance of the stock exchange, the entire thing was filled with all brokers, and all you could hear was trades being shouted about Orkey. Everybody was buying and selling like in a frenzy, as though tomorrow Orkey would cease to exist, or tomorrow you would cease to exist if you didn't own or sell 100 shares of Orkey. Things were like that. And I've tried to put some of those things in. And I'm sure if you will take time out to read it, you might find it interesting. It is stories from another era, and I've tried to build it in and bridge it down into today. And as I stand today, I do feel like a little bit of a bridge from the old era and the new era. So probably that is why Sushil asked me to write this book. I have done a little bit, and I hope you will find the time to download it and read it, and I hope you will enjoy it. Thank you very much.